Well, thank you, Wendy. I could not be more excited than I am about tonight's guest. James Malinchak is recognized as one of the most requested, in-demand business and motivational keynote speakers and business marketing consultants in the world. And I want to tell you, he is a marketing master. He is absolutely brilliant. He was featured on the hit ABC TV show Secret Millionaire and was twice named College Speaker of the Year. He's delivered over 2,000 presentations for corporations, associations, business groups, colleges, universities, and youth organizations worldwide. And he also happens to be a phenomenal coach who about 6 months ago I started working with. And so it's been life-changing. He's been amazing. And so welcome, James. Thank you for agreeing to be on here with us tonight.
Hey, Denise, how you doing? Anything for you and Dennis? Anything for you?
I am doing well. I'm doing well. So, James, we would love for you to just tell us a little bit about yourself, your story. Where'd you grow up, and how did you go from there to ABC's Secret Millionaire?
Yeah, so first of all, thanks for having me. I truly appreciate it. I lost my sister to a brain tumor several years ago, and it taught me a very valuable lesson in life. That you could always make more money, you can always get more customers or clients, but the one thing you can't get is more time. We all have the same 24 hours in a day, and when I lost Vicky, it taught me that next to breathing, the most precious commodity that we have as human beings is time. And you all are giving me your time tonight, so I appreciate that very much. And hopefully, I won't say anything that'll make you want to throw rolls and tomatoes and everything else at the screen at me. So, but to answer your question, Denise, I grew up in a very tiny steel mill town that's out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Population of about 6,000 folks. We didn't have much growing up. Dad worked in the steel mill as a railroad conductor for Willing Pittsburgh Steel, and Mom was a lunch mother serving lunches to us kids at the school. And so I took a basketball scholarship out of high school, played at the University of Cincinnati, and then transferred and played in Hawaii and ripped my knee up in a game, and that was the end of my aspirations of playing professional basketball. We were a really good basketball town. We won our first ever state championship my senior year and did some cool things and rallied everybody together as one family, one community. So I moved to Los Angeles after I graduated from college, and I started my career as a financial advisor and a stockbroker. And I have a cousin who's one of the most successful commodity traders in the history of the gold and silver and mercantile pits. And so that kind of got me from a young age interested in investments. And I had a fast start at a young age, and I got a call one day, and my company asked me to come back to New York and the World Trade Centers and train some of the financial consultants that were being hired. There were about 200 hired every month. And so they flew me back there, and I talked to them and told them how I built my business really fast in the first 2 years. And when I got back, I got a phone call from a guy who said, "Hey, my son just heard you talk to all these financial consultants in the World Trade Centers, and I want to have you come and speak to my sales reps and maybe teach them how to grow their business or get a better mindset." So Denise, that was kind of like my first entry into speaking, if you will. I told him, I said, "Well, I don't speak. I'm a financial consultant." And he said, "Well, I'm going to pay you X." And I was like, "What? You're going to pay me something?" I said, "I speak." Mama didn't raise no fool. Someone's going to pay you to talk, man. Go do it. I would have done it for free. And that's how I got into this whole world. And I have a friend, very good friend. One of my best friends is a guy named Joe Theismann. He used to quarterback the Washington Redskins. And Joe, about 25 years ago, taught me about the speaking and consulting industry. And that's literally how I got into it, and I've been doing it ever since for about 25 years. And one day I get a telephone call from ABC TV and said, "Hey, we want to put you on this show and have you live undercover and find amazing, beautiful people who are changing the world and changing their communities. And we want to put you on this TV show." And that's how it all happened to get on ABC. I just heard an interesting stat, Denise. I'll just kind of top it off with this, that now we have been watched by over 50 plus million people around the world. Pretty crazy. So I always say I'm just a small steel mill town kid who did a couple things right. That's it.
Well, but you didn't start out there though. I think you started out in a video, was it a video store?
Oh yeah,
When you
yeah.
got out of
So
college, was that a store?
yeah, yeah. I got out of college. I was, so broke because I didn't know anything about the real world. I was, academically trained, if you will, from being in school. And I didn't know anything about how to get a customer or get a client, book a speaking engagement or anything like that. And yeah, I was so broke. I was working in, you can imagine this. I was living in Los Angeles at the time and I was making $18,000 a year. So imagine the type of place I had to live in Los Angeles when you're making $18,000 a year in Los Angeles. Somebody said, did you have a security system? And I said, yeah, I used to sleep with a softball bat in case somebody broke in, I could hit them. There bars on the windows, and I was so broke, I made $7 an hour working in a video store, Montrose Video in Montrose, California, right outside of Los Angeles. And did that for a number of years until I figured out something. I had a mentor that talked to me and said, and I had a mentor who was worth several hundred millions of dollars. And he said to, well, I figured, okay, I make $7 an hour. He's got a few $100 million, so I better listen to him. I'm eating pop ramen noodles. He's eating steak and lobster. I probably should pay attention. So, and he said, you can be the best at what you do. You can be the best speaker in the world. You can be the best craftsman in the world. But if you don't know how to market and go out and get clients and customers, says it doesn't matter how good you are at. He said, so go out and study the world's top marketers and learn how to market so you can get and keep business, because that's the real business of business. And a lot of people don't think like that. And so, that's how I got that lesson. And, again, he was very successful. So if he told me to get a red pencil and eat the eraser and it would work, I'd probably have done it. So I did exactly what he told me to do. And the rest is history, as they say.
Yeah, it's so funny because now I'm on the flip side of it. And if you tell me to get a red pencil and eat the eraser, I'm going to do it. Well, you have so many phenomenal stories and I love so many of them. But when Dennis told me that he was able to get you to come on here, he loves the Fabio story. So if you could share that story with us, I have a couple more questions for you, but you have some awesome stories that you get to share with us.
Really, Dennis, of every single story?
I know.
So I don't even know how many people might know who Fabio is. I don't know if anybody knows. Oh, I see some head shaking. Okay. So I used to, when I was, this is why it's so important to, I think, give back to kids and to help kids lay a foundation. Those who want it, that's important. Not those who don't want it and those who want to be lazy and sit on their butt and think the world's going to give them everything because the world owes them something. Right? No, the kid who has the dream, the goal, the passion, the desire, the chutzpah, the work ethic. I think it's so important to give back to them. And so my relative, my cousin, who was the big commodity trader, came from the same small steel mill town that I came from in Western Pennsylvania. And he gave back to me because I wanted it. Yeah, I wanted to learn. I didn't know anything. I was a young kid in college and high school, and I didn't know anything. But he would fly me to New York City, and I would live with him in his very nice place, kind of a penthouse type atmosphere place in New York. And I would work for him on the commodity exchange. And the reason why was because I asked him if I could. All my other friends were hanging out at like the local Elks swimming pool in the summer. And, and here I am, not hanging out at the beach or the pool. I'm trying to learn to be better because I want to get a job in finance when I get out. So he would fly me to New York and I would intern for him. And when I interned for him on the floor of the commodity exchange, I mean, it's not like I was doing trades. My cousin was actually the floor trader for a guy named Bunker Hunt and the Hunt brothers. The Hunt brothers tried to corner the silver market and made billions of dollars and lost billions of dollars. Well, my cousin did all the trades for him. He was their floor trader. So, right place at the right time and did very, very well financially. So then he would trade his own accounts. And so I worked for him and a couple of his friends, and I was a gopher. I got their food one day. I washed their car one day. I picked up their dry clean. That was my internship. but I never said a word. I didn't have anything. I didn't know anything. I'm this young kid. So I figured, well, what can I give them that would help them? I said, well, I could be the first one here every morning. I can be the last one to leave when the market closes after everybody else leaves. And I can be here before they're all here. And I could never take a lunch. And I could do whatever they tell me to do, right? And just hustle and keep my mouth shut. You know, and my dad used to always say, God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth. You should use it in that proportion. And so it's not true. I could do all that stuff. And so I did. And I lived with my cousin. And let's put it this way. This is the kind of guy that was going to buy a professional football team at one time. So for a Steel Mill Town kid, you know, to be like around folks like this was kind of mind-boggling. But my cousin was always he was always the Steel Mill Town guy, just a good, honest, ethical person. And so one day he introduces me to a friend of his. He said, yeah, there's this guy I really like. He's just a nice guy. I'm trying to help him out. He made about $400 a week as a romance model. He would be like the guy for the, what was it, the Harlequin, I think it was called. I don't even read many romance novels, I don't know what they're called, but, you know, the guy holding the lady over a horse on the beach. Well, there's always like models that pose for that. And there would always be this guy with this long blonde hair. Well, that was this guy who was my cousin's friend. My cousin just liked him and took him under his wing, was trying to just be nice to him. And so he made $400 a week doing that. And I used to work out with him at the Vertical Club in New York City, and I used to go to acting classes with this guy. And this guy, I'd never heard of his name before. He wasn't anybody famous, but he had an Italian name, and his name was Fabio. And so I remember riding with him all the time to go to acting classes. And I wasn't an actor. I was just going because we were buds and hanging out. And fast forward. So long story short, my cousin took him, recommended him to go to Eileen Ford, who owns Ford Modeling Agency. And then they sent him out to Southern California. And a guy named Peter Paul, I think it was, who used to manage Muhammad Ali, just kind of fell in love with this whole persona. Because I remember I used to ask Fabio, he would always say he was going to be a star. And I was like, well, what are you going to do? He's like, I'm just going to be Fabio. And he's such a one of the sweetest human beings I've ever met in my life to this day. And we used to just get a kick out of it. Like, you know, well, what are you going to do? I'm just going to be Fabio. Well, what does that mean? Like, is that acting? Is that starting a business? Like, I don't know, but I'll figure it out. I'm just going to be me. He used to always say that. And so fast forward, I mean, it's 5-7 years later, I'm out of college. I'm in Los Angeles, and I pick up People magazine, and he's on the cover of People magazine as the world's most sexiest man. And he's got a TV show, and he's got calendars, and he's got cologne and all this stuff. And I used to think, I used to work out, I used to have to pay for the taxi ride to go to his acting classes. And so it was just really a thrill, and it couldn't happen to a better, nicer, sweeter person. So yeah, then I used to hang out with, when Fabio was big time, I used to hang out with him in Los Angeles, all because I was just a friend of his when he had nothing. So, but it was all because of my cousin. I would never have met him. So there you go, Dennis. There's the Fabio story.
The Fabio story. You know, you said something. You said you always wanted to learn, and so you've always said to us as your coaching clients, if you want to earn more, you got to learn more. And I love that. And I love that about you. You're always learning, and it reminds me to always be learning. So I love that. Do you have something from The Secret Millionaire what was the most impactful part of that experience?
Oh, great question. Yeah. So I went on this show. So for those of you who don't know what The Secret Millionaire TV show was when we were on ABC, so they basically picked me up. Imagine someone picking you up by a crane, taking you out of your current life right now and just dropping you somewhere. And you have no money, you have no cell phone, you have no watch, you have nothing, no communication with the outside world. And that's what happened to me. They picked me up basically one day, ABC TV did, and dropped me somewhere in a place called Gary, Indiana. I didn't know anything about Gary, Indiana, other than I knew Larry Bird from the Boston Celtics was from Indiana. So I thought I was going out to like milk cows and be on a farm. That's all I knew. Right? And I didn't know at the time it was one of the top murder places in the U.S. I had no idea about that. I really thought I was going to farm country. And so, yeah, they just kind of dropped me. And I had no money, no watch, nothing. They handed me an envelope and said, here's your money to live on. And it was $44.66. And that was for the whole week. I had to live on $44.66. And basically they wanted me to live like a male with no dependents lives in that area with state money that they get from the state. And so I remember thinking, how am I going to do all this? And so the first lesson that I got, Denise, was it was all about me in the beginning. It was like, well, how am I going to do this? And, oh my gosh, how am I going to eat? And how do I live on 44? It was all me. And, whatever your choice of belief is, I believe it was a God thing where it kind of hit me where, it's not about you. It's about finding these people. That's why we were there, to find the people who were doing amazing things in the world and volunteer for their charitable organization. And then at my end of my time there, when I'm leaving town, reveal my identity and then open up my checkbooks and write them checks to further their cause and their mission. Hence the term secret millionaire. Nobody knew who I was. I was living undercover. They just thought I was a volunteer. They didn't know anything about my background. And so I ended up writing over $100,000 worth of checks to help these amazing folks. So the first thing is to always understand that it's never about you. I've been doing this 20 some years in my talk. When we're born and I don't think I have, I do, I can use this. We're born and we come into this world, we get a bib placed under our chin. And we get programmed. You know anything about your subconscious mind. You have your conscious mind, which we're thinking with right now, then you have your subconscious mind. Your conscious mind goes to sleep when you go to sleep. Your subconscious never sleeps. It's constantly running 24/7, 365. It's the engine that drives your car. And anything about the subconscious mind, it's like a computer. Anything you put on the computer, good or bad, will sit on the hard drive. You put bad junk on the hard drive will crash. It'll get a virus. It'll slow down. Well, it's the same for our subconscious mind. That's why I always say you never watch the news. Why do you never watch the news? Because the first 3 or 4 stories where somebody shot somebody OD'd on crack, somebody stole this baby. Why would you want to put that negative garbage in your mind, especially when you go to bed and you let that work on you all night, or when you wake up and you let that programming run in your mind all day long, right? So we're born and we're coming into this world, we get a bib placed under our chin, and you get programmed. We all get programmed to go through life like this. We don't realize it, but we do. Meaning being a taker, because we get served when we have a bib, and we get programmed to, you think about it, take from folks. And what I always say is, if you want to really make a difference in this world, you want to really get in with folks, you want to really change lives, you got to take that bib off from around your chin and place it over your forearm like you are a server in the finest dining establishment on the planet, and you always approach every human being with what I can do for this person. What can I do? How can I help this person? And so that's really what I did. The first lesson was, dude, James, you're being a taker. It's about you. How am I going to survive? How am I going to eat? You're being a taker. It's not about you. That's not why you're here. You're here to be a server and find these people. So that was the very first lesson. And then the second lesson, which kind of piggybacks on it, and there were many lessons in these, but the second lesson was that I saw what true giving and serving is from these beautiful, I don't even call them people, beautiful angels, because they had no idea who we were. They just thought it was a documentary being filmed. They didn't know we were ABC TV and that it was going to be blasted all over the world and they were going to be showcased in a really positive light. And so they were just serving. They helped for no other reason to help. No other reason. I remember I was sweeping and cleaning out trash from this alleyway, and I was working with 2 guys that had just gotten out of prison. One was in prison for 20 some years for killing someone and gotten out. And he said, look, I'm really not a bad person. I just made a stupid, bad decision 20 some years ago. and I'm doing the right thing. I'm trying to, like, you know, I'm haunted every day by this. But, and he was just a real good guy. Talking to him, he really wanted to make an impact in his community. And so we're cleaning up this area, and these guys made $5 an hour, got paid for 2 hours working for this community place, but they would work 10-hour days every day. But the lady could only afford to pay her 2 hours. And I remember asking him, this hardcore, rugged guy that was in prison, I said, why do you do this? You get paid $10 a day, 2 hours, and you work 8, 10, 12 hours for nothing. Why do you do this? And he pointed over to an elderly man and lady who were in a yard on a swing, and the swing was facing the back alley. And he said, for them. I said, what do you mean? He said, one day, pretty soon, next week or so, they're going to look out here. They're not going to see this garbage anymore, and they're going to enjoy that little swing ride every time they do it. And I thought, wow, that's pretty darn cool. So those would be the lessons that I learned from these amazing angels. You know, I got just cap it off with this, Denise. I thought I was going on this show to, you know, write checks and help these folks further their cause. I got more out of what I learned from them than they got out of the money I gave them.
That's awesome. That's so awesome. I was privileged to be out in Las Vegas with you, and I don't remember, it was a couple times in the last several months. And so I can't remember if it was at a mastermind or if it was at a boot camp, but Tony was there. Coach Tony.
Oh, Coach Tony. Yeah. Yeah.
And he
from
was
the show. Yeah.
Yeah, he was from Gary, Indiana.
Yeah.
He was one of the people that you helped.
Yeah.
The funniest thing he said is he was questioning the documentary because your teeth were too white.
Yeah, he was one of the guys that I had helped.
Oh, are you frozen for everybody else or just me?
No, I'm seeing it as well. So hopefully he gets back in here shortly.
Is he gone or just frozen or?
Still connected, but just looks like video and audio is frozen.
Well, hopefully he can jump back on here, but it is a funny story because the coach said, I really was questioning the motives in the documentary because your teeth are way too white. And so that made me laugh. I'm in the wrong view. I can't see him. Is he gone?
Yeah, it looks like he just disconnected, so hopefully he might be reconnecting here.
If anybody has any questions and you want to type them in the chat, that would be awesome. I'm hoping we have a few minutes to ask him a couple of questions. He has a lot of phenomenal stories to tell.
Denise, I'm sure he'll be back, and when he is, I think part of this story about Tony, the coach, is that Tony, who was helping mostly these girls to play, I think it was basketball.
Okay.
Is it basketball?
Yep, he's back. Yep, he's back.
Right.
I'm sorry, I'm down here at my Florida house. We're having a little bit of weather, and I think the internet went out. So I'm sorry about that, everyone.
That's okay. We were just we were talking about Coach Tony, and
Yeah.
I don't know if you have anything else you want to share about that or.
Yeah, he just he's one of my dear friends to this day. I just talked to him for about 2 hours on the phone the other day.
That's
So,
awesome.
yeah, so he's just a great guy, and I knew when we met that we were going to be friends for life. You know, it was more than a show. I met some amazing folks, and I'm still in touch with the people that I donated the funds to from the show as well. So I went back actually with no cameras or anything. I went back probably about 6 months after we filmed, and just to check on everybody and see how everybody was, you know, and just hung out with them all.
Oh, that's awesome. That's so awesome. Well, next
Oh, but
question.
I know what you were saying. He said, I thought something was up because your teeth were too white for this area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That made me laugh. But he was such a joy. I was so excited to be able to meet him, and so that was awesome. And now I'm friends on Facebook, and so I get to see what he's doing, and what an amazing man. So cool. Well, my next question for you is, what would be your biggest piece of advice you could give to people in regards to business in light of what we're going through? Because I've watched you pivot. You've done some amazing things with us, your coaching clients. And so what piece of advice would you give people in this crazy time?
Yeah, so a couple things. I'll tell you I'll tell everybody what I told all of you when we were on. So first of all, you cannot panic. Okay, you plan and you protect. You protect your family. You do the right thing of protecting other people, protecting yourself by being cautious. But you can't go into crazy hysteria. We've been down this road before, just in different vehicles. There was 9/11 when everybody thought the country's coming to hell in a handbasket. There was the financial collapse of 2008. We had SARS at one point. I mean, you go all the way back to polio, right? We will get through this. That's the very first thing I told everybody. So you cannot panic and freak out like the whole world's coming to an end. And that's usually what we all tend to first, that's our first reaction, when anything, unusual happens that's scary, right? And so what I said, you protect, but you don't panic. And then you move into the next phase, which is plan. So, and I told all of you, Denise, right, back when this happened and we were all on the Zoom, the very first Zoom, I think in maybe late March it was, I think. And they're saying, well, we'll be back by normal in July. What did I say? No, we're not. I mean, at the earliest, it'll be January 1st, and it's most likely going to be a year from now. Because just thinking logically through it, right? No vaccine. Anybody could be carrying this thing who's asymptomatic. People don't even know they have it. They could pass it to someone else. There's just way too many unknowns. My cousin is a college basketball official, and he was refereeing some basketball tournaments for the NCAA in March. He and his crew got it, the COVID. His crew, the other two officials, came through it fine. He is still battling it. He just started going outside and taking his boys to baseball games. His lungs are still messed up from it. And, so this thing is not over by any means. And so you got to start planning for when this thing does turn, because it will turn. I think it's probably going to be a year before we kind of get back to some normalcy, if you will. So, but what are you going to do for the next 6, 7, 8 months? Is what I always say. Are you going to just sit there and do nothing? Or are you going to be what I call the next P, proactively productive and get things done, right? There are things that you may have been wanting to do a year from now, 2 years from now in your business, in your life, that you should move up to the forefront and get it done. I'll give you an example. So in the last 3 months, I wrote 2 books. I'm almost finished a third. I've built funnels for 7 different products on the internet. All this stuff I was going to do later. I started researching and hiring consultants who are the best podcasting consultants out there so I can launch my podcast. Okay? I started an Instagram account and hired a company to start building Instagram. All this stuff I was going to do, 2 years from now, I just moved it up to the forefront because I want to be proactively producing. Okay. The other thing I would tell you is this. Never more important is it for you, if you have a business, to be in touch with your customers and clients on a full throttle down basis than right now. Let's just look at you all, Denise. You guys get 2 8-page newsletters every 2 weeks. You get a new one, so twice a month. We do a Zoom every Thursday, which I was never doing that before. A Zoom hour and a half, and sometimes I'll stay on 2 hours where we bring different folks in to talk to you guys. Right? Constant. You ever get anything in the mail from me, Denise, other than the newsletter? All the time.
I get a letter every other day or so, and I just got a newsletter today.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, by the way, not only should we be staying in touch that way, and you get emails as well from Cindy, but look at all that in-touch stuff. More touches, right? But I read a study a long time ago. I've studied with some of the top direct marketers in the world. If you stay in touch with your current customers and clients 1 time a month in the mail, by the way, not email or not like, hey, they saw you on social media. I mean, in the mail, your retention and renewal rate jumps through the roof. Just one time a month in the mail. That's the key. Now watch this. If you double it and stay in touch with them twice a month in the mail, it doubles their renewal and retention rate. So we should be saying, I've always done that. I mean, our clients always get stuff in the mail from us. Okay. And why in the mail? Because nobody mails anymore. Everybody relies, they get seduced by the internet, sending out emails or hoping somebody finds them on LinkedIn or, Facebook. So when you show up in the mail, and no other competitor of yours is showing up in their mailbox, it gets touched, it gets looked at, and hopefully if it's written the right way, it gets read. It's why every envelope we ever send you has the word urgent on it, right? And it's written crooked and the stamps are crooked because that's all done by design for a reason, okay? Because we want you to know it's coming from real people. But, I mean, you should all be staying in touch with all of your clients and your customers at least one time in the mail, and should be twice right now. And it should be going on even if there wasn't a pandemic. And how many times have you picked up the phone call, just gone through your customer list, your client list, and picked up the phone call and randomly called 5 people a day just to touch base with them? I mean, just that, I think more than anything, you got to put the throttle down full force on staying in touch with everybody who is your customer and client through this.
That's awesome advice. And I rip open the envelopes as soon as they come.
They say urgent.
I think they say urgent. And I love getting mail. So because nobody mails anything anymore. So I love it. And just the fact that you said that you finished 2 books, almost 3 books, it's making me feel bad because I haven't finished my one yet, but you'll be proud of me. I'm going away tomorrow and Wednesday all day to finish it.
Oh, well, I'm proud of you. I'm proud of anybody that's, moves forward. And you got to be what did I say? Proactively productive.
That's right.
And here's why. Let me kind of cap it off with this. You don't want to look back 8 months from now and see that you wasted 8 months. Let's pretend 8 months it all kind of turns around. We have a vaccine. We kind of nailed this thing. We got it, handled. And maybe we're getting back to some normal type of economy, whatever that means or looks like. Last thing you want to do is look back and say, God dang, I wish I would have been doing this stuff for the past 6 months or 8 months. I'm starting right now. No, what I'm telling my clients is when this thing turns around, man, we're going to flip the switch because we've been proactively productive, and we're going to move into that last P, automatic profit, because we've been planning everything for the past 6 to 8 months. We didn't just sit around and do nothing. So.
Awesome advice. Awesome advice. So what's the one thing you wish you would have known when you started your career? Is there one thing you just wish you would have known, would have made things easier or faster?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I have right now a business philosophy, and people say this all the time. They're like, can I come by your house? I'm going to be in Vegas, or I'm going to be in Florida. I live in Vegas and I live in Florida. And can I come by your house and see your business plan? And I said, I'll save you a trip. It's 2 sentences. It always has been for any business I've ever started. It always will be. It's 2 sentences. Sentence number 1, get and keep customers. Period. I mean, I paused for a reason because that's it. There's nothing else. Most folks, when I say it, okay, what comes next? Nothing. Period. Get and keep customers. I know which business I'm in. I am in the customer or client acquisition and retention business. I don't care which field I'm in. I could be in medical. I could be a consultant. I could be a roofer, right? I'm not in the roofing business. I'm in the get and keep customer business, right? That's the first thing. So my first part of my business plan, first sentence, get and keep customers, period. Everything else I can farm out. Any administrative stuff, paperwork, I don't need to do all that. That's my assistant. My job is to get and keep customers and clients and then deliver what I'm supposed to be delivering to them. Okay? So many people waste time on what the real business isn't, right? Paperwork and all that kind of stuff. I mean, that's a $10 an hour job for somebody. Right? When I was even a financial consultant and I'd open up an account, I wasn't sitting there doing new account forms. That's passed off to the assistant. I'm out back walking the business park or picking up the phone to get the next customer, next client to come in. That's my job. That's how I opened up 200 accounts my first year, because I wasn't wasting time on unproductive things. Okay. So first part of my business plan, get and keep customers. Second part of my business plan as a business owner, keep more net income in my pocket than going out. 2 key words, net income, not revenue in the business. If you own a business, you are in business for freedom, to create the financial resources to live your life the way you want to live it. You're not in business to run a business if you are the captain of your ship, so to speak. Now, if you work for someone else, that's a different story. But if you own your own business, you're in business to have that business deliver to you freedom. Okay, more time off for your family, more free time for you to do what you love, more financial resources to pay off all your debts and get out of debt. Okay, so first thing, get and keep customers. Second thing, keep more net income in my pocket than going out. Keyword is net. And what's the second thing? In my pocket, not in the business. If you're a business owner, your business should be setting you up for financial freedom as well. Okay, so those were the things I didn't know starting out, Denise. The third thing I didn't know is that everything should be systematized. Right? I mean, Denise, you know very well, and Dennis to a certain extent, but you, because you're part of our coaching family, I run a multi-million-dollar a year business with one employee. One employee. Like, how could you do that? If you systematize everything, you don't need a whole bunch of people. And you know what a system stands for, right? SYSTEM, save yourself time, energy, and money. Okay? So how can I do... So I've written 22 books. How can I write 22 books? Because it's a system. All I got to do is sit down and do the middle part of the content. I already trained my graphic designer what the covers are all going to look like. They're all going to kind of look the same. She just takes out one word, puts in another word for this book. Instead of Millionaire Success Secrets, this one's Millionaire Referral Secrets. And then the next one's Millionaire Entrepreneur Secrets. And then Millionaire Selling Secrets and Millionaire Networking Secrets. And then she changes the colors. Everything on the inside first 10 pages is the same. Everything on the last 10 pages is the same. The back cover testimonials are all the same. I wrote a generic introduction that could be used in every book. I wrote a generic conclusion that could be used in every book. So I systematize everything. So one of the things you want to learn how to do is do what I call eliminate rework. I didn't know this starting out, right? There are things you do over and over, daily, weekly, monthly, or yearly. Most likely it's daily, weekly, or monthly. You do the same thing over and over. Anything you do 2, 3, 4 times, you got to systematize that. That is not something you should be doing again and again and again. That's called rework. You're doing work, the same work on the same thing over and over. That is, so when I realized, okay, I'm going to publish all these books, well, writing a new intro is rework. I got to write 22 intros. What if I just write a generic intro about how I got started? And what if I wrote a generic summary that's about taking action? Well, that can now fit in every book I do for the rest of my life. So therefore, I don't have to rework that every book. Okay, so I'm always trying to figure out how do I systematize everything that I do. Okay. Another thing, so eliminate rework, and another thing under systematizing that might help you all, and I didn't know this, Denise, when I was starting out, is you have to decide if you want to continue being a firefighter in your business or if you want to switch and become Smokey the Bear. And here's what I mean. And I don't know if any of you remember I remember these when I was a kid, the Smokey the Bear commercials. Smokey used to come on and he would say, kids, only you can prevent forest fires. I don't know if anybody remembers that, right? Well, how does that relate to us in our business? All right, well, do you have regular thinking and talking to your staff meetings about how to avoid potential fires that could pop up in the future? So like Cindy and I get on once a month. Cindy's my assistant, who's also my sister, by the way. So don't tell me you can't work with families. She's been working with me for 12 years, okay? And I'm very clear about my business. I work for Cindy. Cindy doesn't work for me. Did everybody catch that? If I train somebody who I trust to handle things and decisions in the business, then I need to let the horse run, so to speak. And I can't be micromanaging. My job is to train her on things on how to do them, and then to get my butt out of the way and let her do them. Let her make the mistakes, let her make the decisions, let her figure out how to go over, under, and around things. And so I look at myself as I'm just the talent. I should be getting and keeping customers and then delivering what I'm supposed to deliver to the customer in the form of consulting, in this case. She handles everything else. And then therefore she doesn't have to come to me for everything. So I have freedom. And then I just make sure I pay her really well. Okay, but we have meetings once a month where we get on the phone literally for 30 minutes, maybe 40 minutes, because we assess times to everything. Comes back to you can make more money, get more customers or clients, you can't get more time. So I'm very adamant about not wasting time on nonsense stuff. But we'll get on for 30 minutes, 40 minutes, and we will have Smokey the Bear meetings. Okay, we're going to be doing this here. What are some fires that could pop up that we could squash now before they ever pop up? That's not what most people in business do. And in the beginning, that's what I did. I was a firefighter. I didn't plan or think. Actually, you might want to write this down. There's a term, I coined it. It's called the positive power of negative preparation. There's real positive power in preparing for potential roadblocks that could happen that you don't even know are happening, right? So it's like if I'm going to drive somewhere on a trip for 3 or 4 hours, Las Vegas to Los Angeles through the Mojave Desert, what do most people do? They just jump in a car and go. No. Let's get on the internet. Let's look at the whole route, the route we're going to take, and let's see that, oh my gosh, did not realize that 2 hours into the drive that the road is, they blew up the road because they're rebuilding it. And now we're going to have to go, 4 hours out of our way to go around it to get to Los Angeles. Do we really want to go and drive 8, 9 hours to get there? Or do we want to just drop off on a Southwest flight to get there? See, because we were proactive in being a Smokey the Bear, we figured out that 2 hours into the drive, there's no road, versus driving 2 hours and figuring that out and being backed up in traffic, for 8 miles with everyone else. So you always want to be Smokey the Bear instead of a firefighter. And if you can just rework, get rid of rework, try to be a Smokey the Bear instead of a firefighter, and look for ways to systematize everything. Watch how efficiently your business runs. You don't have to go hire 8 more employees. You just got to be more efficient by getting rid of rework and being Smokey the Bear. Those are the things, Denise, I didn't know in the beginning.
That is some awesome advice. I want to be respectful of your time, but I have one more question I'd like to ask.
Good. Yeah, I'm okay.
You're good? Okay. I have had the privilege of meeting some really amazing people through you, and Kevin Harrington, Shark on Shark Tank, and Jack Canfield, and Patty Aubrey from Chicken Soup for the Soul, and Joe Theismann, and just amazing people. I'd like to know, though, who are the 3 people who have been the most influential to you? Because you know a lot of people. So,
and by the way, I'm going to tell you this now. You're the only one that knows this out of the coaching group, because I literally just got off the phone with him. But in 2 weeks, we have my friend Jeff Hoffman coming. He's the co-founder of Priceline.com. He's a billionaire. And he's done all these other businesses as well. And as partners with like Steve Wozniak and Pitbull, the entertainer Pitbull. They started a global entrepreneur network. So you're going to meet Jeff Hoffman in literally weeks.
So awesome. Thank you. So awesome.
Yeah. I would say without a doubt, my mom and my dad. My dad was a steel worker, high school education, but one of the wisest men I've ever known. It was just those nuggets and life lessons. It's amazing what you could learn from people if you just listen, right? Unfortunately, kids today don't take a class. They take communication classes, right? But you know what class they don't take? Is a class on how to listen. Why isn't that taught, right? And how to really hear people. And I admit as a teenager, I was that way too. What was that old line? The older I get, the more I realized, the smarter my parents are getting. No, they were always smart. You just you just matured and woke up, right? So, but my dad used to always just tell me these little things. He was a steel worker, and he used to always say, my dad went on to become a college football official, Division I college football official. He actually, my senior year in high school, he actually refereed the Orange Bowl game for the national championship between the Miami Hurricanes with Vinny Testaverde when Vinny was the quarterback, and the Oklahoma Sooners when they had Brian Bosworth. It was a game for the national championship, and my dad, from the tiny little steel town of Monessen, Pennsylvania, was one of the 6 officials on that national championship game, which means he was one of the top 6 referees, officials, and the top person in his position as a back judge in the entire country. That's, if you think about that, that's crazy coming from a little town of 6,000 people, all the amazing officials all over the U.S. And I remember asking my dad one day, I was like, and he did Army-Navy game, he did Penn State, Pittsburgh, USC, Notre Dame, he did all these big games, the Gator Bowl. And I remember asking my dad, like, how? Like, how do you do that? And I'll never forget him saying, son, anything is possible if you believe in yourself, you don't listen to people who tell you can't do something. I mean, I still use it to this day. Matter of fact, in June, on Father's Day, you all in the newsletter, Denise, got a newsletter, and the article was that lesson when my dad taught me that. I mean, so look at this. All these years later, I'm still using that. So how can he not be one of the most influential people in my life? And my dad passed away in 2005, April 15th, 2005. So I always joke and say he finally got out of paying taxes. He died on tax day, passed away on tax day. And then my mom, she taught me the nuggets too. My mom, so my sophomore, junior, and senior year, I used to wake up every morning about 5:30 in the morning. And it would be freezing cold sometimes in Western Pennsylvania. And my mom would always have food, breakfast waiting for me, oatmeal, whatever that might be, a hot tea. And my mom, about 6 a.m., would drive me 6:15 to the high school. School started at 8. And I made friends with some of the janitors because it was a small town. And they gave me a key to the gym because my dream was to play college basketball and get a scholarship. But we had everything against us. You're from a small town. I heard everything, right? You don't shoot well enough. You're not quick enough. You don't have the skills as some of these kids in a bigger city. So I thought, okay, well, I better get my butt moving and start working. So every morning, my sophomore, junior, and senior, I don't think I missed a morning. I mean, maybe if I was sick, but I don't ever remember being sick. I would go to the gym and I'd work on my areas of improvement. That's something else that I never realized starting out in business. People say, what are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? I'm like, I don't have weaknesses. I have strengths and I have areas of improvement, because a weakness is only a weakness if you choose to not try to improve it. And so my left hand wasn't that great. I was a right-hander. So what did I do? I used to go to the gym every morning and I used to tie my right arm behind my back and I would dribble for an hour, hour and a half with my left hand, getting good with my left hand, right? Jumping. I used to wear special shoes to increase my jumping, and I would do weights and things, all this before school. Then I would shower 7:30 and then I'd get dressed and I'd go to school. And then after school, we'd finish at 2:30. I'd go to the YMCA and I'd lift weights and I'd play in pickup games. And I'd come home and I'd eat and I'd do homework and go to bed. And I did that every single day. My mom always got up early at 5 o'clock. Never complained that, why are you getting up so early? Always had tea there, always had oatmeal for me, and always drove me to school. Never questioned, never said, hey, don't you want to take a day off? Never said, hey, I'm tired, right? And so I never forgot that, just how she served me to help me get my dream in that way. And so, she used to always say, and she still says to this day, success is great, but always never forget your family and your friends, and always tell them how much you love them and how important they are to you. Let's never forget that little nugget. So how can she not be one of my biggest influencers? I wouldn't have gotten a basketball scholarship had she not driven me. I would never have gotten a basketball scholarship if my dad didn't tell me to believe in myself and don't listen to people who tell you that you can't do something, right? And if you look at the chain reaction, if I didn't get the basketball scholarship, I never would have moved to Los Angeles. I never would have did that first speaking gig. I never would have met this person. I never would have, we wouldn't be on this call today. Everything's connected all the way back. So, and then third would be Cindy, my sister as well, because she just makes things so easy for me with the way she runs everything. You know, and I got to tell you, when she started working for me, she did medical transcription for a doctor's office and didn't know anything about running a business. But you know, you train people, believe in them. And I believe you have to believe in people when they don't believe in you. And that's what a lot of folks did for me. I didn't believe in myself, and you know, they saw things in me before I saw it. And then also it would be my cousin, who was the commodity trader, because he would fly me out and show me there was more than just our small steel mill town and you know, having beers at the local bar, right? Sort of thing. So there's a lot of folks. But I never stopped learning. One of my favorite quotes, we had Kevin Eastman on a few weeks ago, right? My friend who's an NBA coach for a number of years. And he has a great line. I'd love to kind of cap this answer off for all of you with his line. He says, don't go through life being a know-it-all, go through life being a learn-it-all. You know, and I see that now. I see people like this. Man, they're like, you know, 60 years old, and they go, oh, I've been doing this for 30 years. I'm like, oh, really? That means just by the grace of God, you wake up and everything works for you. You don't have to, you know, learn more. You don't have to grow more. You don't have to do any, you don't have to meet new people. It just works. I'm like, give me that pill. I'd love to have that pill, because that ain't the way it works in my world. You know, if you want to go more, you got to grow more. And by the way, you can't expect your business and income level will be here and your knowledge level will be here. It doesn't work that way. You got to raise this to raise that. Right? Ben Franklin said it best: an investment in yourself always pays the best interest.
That's right. That's right.
So.
Well, James, this has just been an honor for me to be able to be
this has been awesome.
Yeah, to get to interview you. It's been awesome. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule and jumping on here with all of us. I so appreciate it. I'm going to let everybody unmute if you'd like to.
And let me just say one last thing. We have to give a special shout out to our friend Dennis, because if it wasn't for Dennis, you and I, Denise, would not know each other.
That's right. That's right. That's so true. So
Dennis, I was speaking at a conference in San Diego, and he came up to me, was telling me about you at the elevator by the in the lobby area, and then you somehow got on my webinar, and now we know each other and we're friends. And if it wasn't for Dennis, I wouldn't be on this call, this Zoom. So thank you, Dennis.
Yeah, so awesome. Well, thank you. If everybody wants to unmute and say thank you and goodbye, Wendy, I don't know if there's an official ding of the bell or what you want to do. So.
Yeah, no, that's okay. Thank you so much, James. This was such a great presentation.
Thank you.
From one Western Pennsylvania to another, thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
Good old Sharon, Pennsylvania, representing.
Yeah, you guys stay warm in the winter time when it comes up.
That's right. So everyone, thank you. We'll look for additional speakers next week, and have a great week, everyone.
Hey, thanks everybody. I appreciate it. Thank you, Dennis. Thanks everybody.
Thanks.
Take care. Be safe.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.